Today on the podcast, we want to talk about a big player in AI that I feel like we don't really cover a lot. You hear us talking about Claude and ChatGPT probably ad nauseum. A player we don't talk about very much is Amazon, but they have obviously massive infrastructure, massive, dollars and horses in the race. Like, they're moving on all fronts here. And the thing that they have just released is a new version of, drumroll please, Alexa, called Alexa Plus. This is with AI integrated. And I'm not going to lie, this is better than I had hoped for. If you've been listening to any podcasts I've been running over the last 2 years, you'll know that I have absolutely lambasted Alexa, Google Voice Assistant, Siri, all of them. Since ChatGPT launched, I said, scrap all of those projects, get ChatGPT, stick it in there with low latency voice, and roll this thing out tomorrow, because all of these products are pretty much garbage as soon as ChatGPT launched. Now, it's been a moment, and I'm like, sitting there twiddling my thumbs, like, when are these things gonna ever launch? And I'm like, it's not that complicated, blah blah blah. And these companies have all said, hey, we're like working on redoing them, everything. Okay, I will admit, with the new launch, and we're gonna talk about everything in Amazon, they actually did better than I anticipated. It's more useful than I anticipated, and it's better than just throwing ChatGPT in there. So I think they knew, like, it was going to look really bad if they had these products they've spent billions of dollars on, and then they're just like pretty much throw a ChatGPT on it and call it good. Like, I don't think that's going to do it for people. So I'm very impressed with what they've done. But yeah, let's get into it. Connor, you've been posting about this on LinkedIn. What are some of your top features or things you're excited about with the new Amazon Alexa Plus?
I mean, I'm with you, man. I'm excited about this. It's Alexa Plus. If for Prime users, it's going to be free. For if you're not, you can pay $20 a month for it, which I'm not sure a ton of people will start doing that. But even the product managers and everybody at Amazon have said for a long time, like, this thing is dumb as a rock. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it does for you in your kitchen or your bedrooms or whatever, but for us, it's like it helps turn on lights, it sets timers, it tells me the weather. That's about it. And Jaden, you and I have been hollering about this forever. It's like, what are we missing here? Like, all you need to do is put a large language model in here. You've just invested $8 billion or whatever in Anthropic. Why is this not a thing? And so I trust Amazon. I actually really like Amazon. So I don't know why it took so long, but I'm with you. It's here. If it really does what it says it does, and you can probably imagine intuitively, right? It's conversational. Obviously, you can sort of say like, hey, help me with this, or help me plan this, or something like that. And that's awesome. That will be huge. It'll probably just much more intuitively understand what you're asking it to do, because it's just going to have just a much better brain in there. Here's the other thing, though. It apparently will have agentic capabilities, like, creating the shopping lists and booking restaurants and sending invites and ordering an Uber and stuff like that. Like, I'm not diving into that because I don't know. Like, I just worry about how agents work and all that kind of stuff. Not because I'm afraid of them, just the pure functionality. I don't know. But it has better integration with all the Echo devices, which is great. Like, we probably have like 5 Echo devices around our house, all that sort of stuff. A couple of cool things. First of all, I don't know if you saw this, Jaden, like, because it's built on what they call Bedrock, it's going to be, I think, model agnostic. So it's not even just Very cool. It's going to use its own Nova, or what, I can't remember what their large language model is called, but it's also going to use Anthropic. I don't know if it's going to use anything else, maybe just those two, but it's going to choose which model it should use, which that's interesting to do that instantly. I don't know even how it's going to do that, but that's very, very cool, just conceptually speaking. So Jaden, look, if you're either on board on this or you're like, heck no, right? So I've gotten a lot of heck no comments around too, especially because when you think about the fact that this can have, vision and screens and things like that. One of the things I was just hearing was that, first of all, it can sort of like detect what it's looking at, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of people are like, I don't want this thing looking at me all the time. Like, I don't want this thing listening to me all the time, all that sort of stuff. I heard it sort of saying, because it's integrated with Ring. We have Ring motion cameras and things like that around our house. On the outside of our house. But it was like, it can detect whether, somebody has walked the dog or not, because it can like look outside on your Ring cameras to see if the kids like walked the dog, and then set a reminder to say like, hey, you guys didn't walk the dog. So some people will hear that and be like, that's freaky. But then I hear that, I'm like, that's awesome. It's the future anyway. So I'm psyched about it, totally psyched about it, especially because it's going to be included in Prime. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so overall, I actually have very optimistic thoughts. I'm like less in the camp of like paranoid about security stuff. I just feel like everything in the world is already leaked. My social security's been hacked like 100 times by every mortgage company I've ever signed up for that sends me a letter saying sorry, our whole databases got hacked. Like all my information's out everywhere. So I'm like, whatever. I've given up. Maybe maybe that's all a psyop too. Who knows? But anyways, the thing that I like about this is they said like throw in a chatbot, and this wasn't their vision. It wasn't going to cut it. So they've added more. Like you mentioned, they integrate with a lot of things. Something I think that's cool that they integrate with, obviously, is Amazon. So it knows everything you have purchased on your Amazon account. And it knows like questions. Or you're like, hey, how many books did I read on my Kindle this year? It will like pull from your Amazon account. It will let you know that. They said that it knows everything about your life, your schedule, your smart home, your preferences. Amazon has done this incredible job of building like not just a product that's useful, but a whole ecosystem. So they have smart thermostats, I believe, and they have Ring cameras. And so they have like all of these different devices, or maybe I'm thinking of Nest from Google. Scrap the smart thermostat. I may or may not be right about that. I forget. But anyways, they have the Ring cameras that are on there. They also have a camera on this device, like you mentioned, which can kind of see things that you're doing and answer questions. And this kind of reminds me of like when ChatGPT first added the ability through video to like be on a video call with it and show it your car engine and be like, hey, like where the heck is the cap to replace the coolant? This is literally a use case I have used before. Don't judge me too much. I really am not much of a mechanic, but I had a car that was leaking coolant and needed to go somewhere. So anyways, like these kind of video things are very useful. And I think you're going to come up with dozens of use cases once you have it kind of just on the device right there. You don't have to pull up your phone. It's just sitting there. You can get it to answer questions. So I think that's pretty cool. And then like you mentioned, like with your dog walking example, I love that. If it's able to do that kind of stuff, like it literally makes your life easier. And so yeah, at this point I'm sure China's spying on us all, and I'm not as worried about what Amazon's going to do. There is the last thing I'll say on this though is that there are some concerns. I remember reading a very interesting article from a guy that you can request, and I'm trying to remember if this is like a European law or if he was American, but in any case, you can request your data from tech companies. And he requested any stored data from this is just back when it was just the regular Amazon Alexa, like Echo Dot or whatever. And it sent him a list of all the files that it had saved on him, except it accidentally sent him the list of like maybe his neighbor or some other person's files. So it sent him the wrong ones, and it was voice recordings of them in the shower for like the last month when they were talking to Alexa in the shower. And he was like, yeah, it was really weird. And also like, that's major privacy issue that like, if I'm getting my neighbor's thing, are they getting my like shower audio file? I was just like, it freaked me out a lot. So there are some things to be like, there are definitely some realistic concerns that I will acknowledge. At the end of the day, I'm hoping those things are glitches and they just make it more useful.
Same, right? I mean, it's a great example. Here's the thing, right? It's, Alexa and not just Alexa, but all the devices across Amazon, apparently over the last, I don't know, call it 10 years or something, have lost something like $25 billion, right? I mean, billions and billions. So why? How did that happen? Because everybody has an Alexa. Well, Alexas cost a lot to make and everything else, but they were just trying to get Alexas in every home. Why was that? It's because, they thought, oh, well, if you have super easy access to Amazon things, do you remember they had like these, I don't know if you ever saw this, like they had like a button that you could push sometimes, like you had like a Bounty paper towel button and all these other buttons that you could literally be like physical buttons. You just press the button and it would order it from Amazon, which was a disaster because if you have kids, like they're like, don't, what I mean? Like they loved it. Yeah. So they quit that real fast. But you can see where Amazon was going with this, right? Where they're huge and they're like, let's just, lower the friction to people just ordering things like, oh, I'm out of paper towels. Alexa, order paper towels, right? It's great. It goes beyond the shopping list. So the reason why I'm confident in Amazon, while I still understand people who are worried about it and worried about privacy, I'm like you, Jaden. I just don't really worried about privacy anymore at this point. Call me crazy, but I feel like everybody has everything already. Is the fact that if this thing has had 10 years of scoping around in kitchens, right? I mean, like if this was a brand new device and it was going to sit in your kitchen and it had a large language model that could do all this, I'd be like, okay, who's running this? How does this work? How do they know the device works? Devices are way harder than software, right? Way harder, right? And so, you trust your iPhones and you trust your Alexas and you trust these things, generally speaking, right? Just by the sheer number of ones that have been bought. And I just feel like no matter what, it's been vetted. I guess that's all I'm saying. It's just been vetted to a certain extent. So I'm actually very comfortable now putting a smarter brain on it. Again, if this was a new device, it's like, hey, buy this, robot Billy or whatever, and it's going to be in
The
your own.
new
I'd be like, oh, I don't know
DeepSeek
about that.
robot.
But yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's speaking of the microphone kind of thing. So, but this, I'm feeling better about this. I'm excited about it. I think Amazon's a phenomenal, phenomenal company. I don't know. I'm excited about it.
I like one way they labeled it is it's your virtual security guard. I thought that was kind of funny. You talked about some of the video capabilities. Something that they've talked about, but they haven't given a lot of specifics to, is the fact that it is going to be good for not just being a general purpose assistant, but a productivity tool. They said you're going to be able to upload files and documents and emails, and Alexa will be able to parse through that and refer to them in the future. So you're like, here's my work schedule for the year. And then, it's like July and you're like, hey, what's my work trip supposed to be this month? And it will know and have that. They haven't said exactly how you send the documents in. I don't know if this is like an email or, an upload thing on an app or something. But in any case, they're doing a lot of things in that vein. So I am excited. I do think this is going to be a good tool. Amazon obviously is a big company. The last thing I want to say is they also have Amazon Video and Amazon Music. So the media side, they understand what your preferences are there. And it's like, hey, recommend me a movie based off of what I like. The previous Echo would not have been able to do that. Like you mentioned, this is just a smarter brain that they're adding onto it. So now it's going to have better recommendations. And it's kind of interesting because on your Amazon Prime account, technically there should be an algorithm recommending you good videos, but I feel like you'll be able to get more personalized, better responses when you're like, hey, recommend me a good romance video for my wife and I that, she loves her rom-coms and it's made in the last 10 years. So it's sort of modern and blah, 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 has a happy ending. I don't know, right? Whatever your specifics are, that's just not going to pop up from your regular algorithm feed on Prime. And so I think by having a little bit smarter of a brain, now people can pick more customized experiences. I'm very excited and bullish on this product, but we'll see when it rolls out how good it is, of course. Right now it's all hype and we've talked a lot about it, but it'll be interesting. In any case, if you enjoyed the episode today, if you learned anything new, and if you're planning on getting this new Amazon tool, make sure, as a thank you to Connor for his incredible review of this product, to drop him a review on Apple. You can drop us a 5-star review or any stars. We love 5 stars. It makes us feel good. And then on Spotify, you got to hit the About tab, and then you can leave some stars. But we read all the reviews. We really appreciate them. We hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, and we'll catch you in the next episode.